Alec, what's happening?
Well, I'm holding out for a hero.
Yeah, I need a
Yeah,
hero, so it's like we're on
yeah,
the same wavelength here. So,
yeah.
Shrek 2, we're here. We're continuing our Shrek
Here we are.
series.
Yep.
I gotta tell you, Alec, I love Shrek 2, and I still love it. It holds up so well. I love it.
So I found myself. It was interesting because I know I was like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can still like this movie, but so for me, I think this movie held up a lot more than I gave it credit for. But it was showing a lot of signs of not great things, especially for the future of DreamWorks animation and the future of their sort of trends in terms of like what we're going to be doing in terms of where humor is really going. Um, I will say,
Really.
I liked the plot of this much more than the first one. I thought it had a much better story.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was totally with it for like the first four-fifths of the film, and then the last fifth of the movie, just I hated.
Why do you hate the
I
last
hated.
fifth of the
I
film?
hated
Tell me
almost
about it.
every. I hated almost every minute of it, and I
Why?
and I didn't want to.
You didn't like them needing a hero. You didn't like
No,
that sequence?
no, I didn't. No, I
Come
honestly, I
on,
don't. I don't like that sequence.
it's iconic.
It is, and yet it's a terrible cover of that song.
Mm.
Um, there's a worse cover of it over that plays immediately on the credits. Much worse.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so bad. I'm not really a big fan of how they arranged that version of the song. They honestly just should have played the song, and probably would have been better. But I don't know if it would have fit the scene perfectly. So we have to do our own little arrangement where we get the
You're not.
the techno beats in the background. But overall, I enjoyed this movie more than I was expecting. But it still didn't quite reach the heights that when wasn't starting to enjoy it. Didn't quite reach the heights of like didn't really make me laugh as much.
Really? Okay.
It
I,
didn't really make me.
I I thought it was so much
Yeah,
more funny than the first one.
I no. Here's the thing. I think it's funnier too, but I didn't really laugh very much at the first one either.
No,
So
but
I found myself not really laughing a lot, but I did laugh more. I think I laughed more. There were just a lot of really great. I love most of the scenes with King Harold. King Harold might be my favorite character in the whole movie.
okay. Yeah.
John Cleese just is phenomenal, and like anything that man does is really funny to me. So
Did you like the cops spoof? Where there is like nights and there's a white Bronco.
I don't know if okay, so there that introduces the problem that I have with the ending of the film, which
With the
is
ending.
just like we're just bringing our characters back, the ones that you forgot about from the first 5 minutes of the movie. We're bringing them back, and they're gonna immediately teleport to far, far away, which is
The
about
jail. They're gonna do the jailbreak.
a
Yeah.
1,000 miles away, and they're just gonna immediately teleport there when they need to, and then break them out of jail, and then we're gonna have a sequence that is the only humor in the entire sequence is pop culture references.
There are a lot of pop culture references in this movie, huh?
Yeah,
There's so
and
many.
that's to me. So that to me, I was just like, oh, I don't. You have to, if you're gonna do that, you have to spread them out. I think this is actually one thing that I think the first film did better was spreading out that sort of thing. You know the stupid Fiona fight sequence where they river dance immediately into a Matrix reference. I thought that was really dumb, but
Mm.
there wasn't that much like mashing of like, yeah, here's pop culture references. Here's ET. Here's this, and we're gonna put this in here now. And it's just like this isn't funny. It's just like here's Lord of the Rings. Remember Lord of the Rings? And I was like, yes, that movie series that was really popular. But like
That's
kids
true.
watching that movie that are really young now, they're just gonna be like, oh, this is like a goofy sequence. But it's like but the intent was it to be funny because the intent was it to be referential, but it was like no. Oh, the chestburster scene, that was weird. That was weird and out
I
of
liked it.
place.
I liked it.
That was I know. So that was one that I liked because that was again sandwiched in between actually like good, interesting, fun stuff.
He was so like exaggerated.
He's like ah.
Puss in Boots, man. Puss in Boots is here.
Puss in Boots is great. Yeah. Antonio Banderas. Here's the thing: did they cast Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots just so they could make a Zorro reference in one scene?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess his whole character is kind of a Zorro
whole,
reference, but
yeah, just for the whole archetype, you know, that they're going for.
yeah.
I just like. I think not only is this movie good, this movie is excellent. This is like this is high bar, man.
Now get out of here!
Dude,
get
I was
out of
very
here!
hesitant going into this. I'm like, Shrek 2, I remember loving it growing up. I'm like, but Shrek, I could tell how much it aged when watching the original Shrek.
Oof,
How
yeah,
Shrek 2
it doesn't
hold
look
up.
good.
Shrek 2 holds, it's like fine wine, baby. It's so good.
See, here's the thing. I this movie looks much better. Much better
Yeah,
than the
I
first
didn't have
one.
any
Three years later, they made things look a lot better, but there are still a lot of problems. Chiefly, walking and running animation for everyone except for Shrek looks terrible because they all walk like Shrek. It's like Shrek is kind of a big, he's an upper body kind of guy. He kind of has this weird frame, so him walking around looks normal. But then when like your average human characters are walking around like him, it looks so wrong. It looks terrible. It's always been like, since watching the first one, that's something I just have to notice now, because the first one, it was like very apparent, but this one even more so, because the character models looked so much better. They really did a much better job on facial animation. There wasn't like the janking as much with the creepy eye or the glassy eyed, or there wasn't.
Yeah, we didn't get in there as much, but even I never noticed anything with the facial stuff.
Yeah. No, it wasn't nearly as bad. Background characters still look pretty jank, but there were a lot fewer, which is weird to say. There were fewer and further between because we were in a city for most of the movie.
Far away.
They didn't really stand out too much. But yeah, so kudos to the higher quality modeling. The character models looked great. The animation still pretty rough, but better. They're improving. That's good. And like I said, I thought the pacing and the plot was so much better in this movie. I found myself really caring about the arcs of both our characters, because they're both trying to. Both Shrek and Fiona, I should say, because they're both thinking about the other person and what they feel would be best for the other person.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such like a good, interesting. Because in the first film, the fraction, which happens like 4/5 of the way through the movie, is due to the dumb misunderstanding trope. This one is like almost a semi-comparable to Gift of the Magi, where it's like two people are trying to do the nicest thing they can for the other person at their own personal cost,
and then that causes a conflict.
And
I think it's a lot more interesting.
It is more interesting.
I mean, it like rehashes some similar themes. Like, you're still talking about like basically coming to terms with being an ogre,
yeah.
But I think they do it well. And they do have another, like, they didn't have the trope of misunderstanding, but they did have a nice little trope when Fiona runs in and Shrek runs out. Fiona runs out, Shrek runs in, and they miss each other.
Ships passing in the night type thing, where they don't see each other. Yeah.
Which, like, wow, that was such a small margin of error. If they just like met up there, then the whole movie is like, it's solved. Like, I feel like they could just resolve it from there.
That was one thing that was annoying too, when after that happened, and then you could audibly hear the camera was with Prince Charming and Fiona, and you could audibly hear Shrek going, "Fiona!" It's like, no, you shouldn't have done that. You should have just maybe focused in on him a little bit more and seen him pounding. But then, because the fairy godmother immediately is like, "Well, they can't hear you." It's like, but they should be able to. We did. We were right there. They should be able to hear him.
So I want to say.
So general plot of the film. Let's work our way through the film.
Well, I want to say that the beginning. I really liked the opening. Let me tell you. I really liked the opening sequence of this. I thought it was fun. Well, they play "Accidentally in Love," but I do like the whole sequence where Shrek kisses a mermaid. That's fun. That's a fun gag.
Yeah, man, I love this. I love the gag where Shrek kisses a mermaid. It's my
She
favorite.
just he full on kisses this mermaid, and then Fiona just chucks that.
Just chucks the mermaid. Yeah.
And then, but you had the whole sequence with Prince Charming, like going there.
Oh, that part of it. Yeah, that part is great because it's like retreading the story of the first.
Yeah.
Film.
And then later, when the fairy godmother's talking about it, she's like, "And what does he find? Some gender confused wolf." I'm like, "Whoa, wow."
Whoa, yeah.
Fairy godmother.
I don't know if you could. I don't know if you can say that in 2021. Fairy godmother. Jeez, come a long way since then.
But they had the upside down Spider-Man kiss. They had
oh my god! Oh, jeez, man, I hated that. I don't. This is what I mean. It's just shoving the stupid pop culture references.
Well, I thought it was really tasteful.
I thought it was stupid, and I didn't find it funny. I just found it annoying.
I do like the little where Shrek's like, "We are not going," and it's final, and then it cuts to them loading up the little caravan.
Yeah, I mean those are always good gags. I like.
And then it goes beep,
good
beep,
humor.
Beep,
it's
beep 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 beep. You get Funky Town going.
Funky Town, yeah. I mean, I like that song a lot, so that was great. The whole Funky Town sequence is great.
It's again with like these licensed music with Shrek for some reason, but I think it works better in this movie. I feel like they made better choices, but
it works better in this movie because of the sort of metropolitan kind of feel of everything, where it's like they're going to like this. We kind of settled into the idea that this is a weird blend of like modern, sort of semi-modern, even though King Harold talks about an injury from the Crusades, which that made me laugh a lot harder than I was expecting. Oh no, it's just an injury from the Crusades, and I was like, what? There's Crusades in this universe, apparently.
I thought this movie was actually funny. Like, I thought the first one was like, I could see how that could be humorous to a child, but then I actually was laughing in those parts of this movie. So
to me the funniest, I think the thing I laughed the most about in this movie was just something really simple, just nothing really a whole lot. But it was when Harold was meeting the fairy godmother and Prince Charming, and then they stopped to get like the fast food, and then it cuts to Prince Charming wearing the little crown,
the little fat boy
and he's
crown.
just sitting there eating contently his food.
Yeah,
and it was just like, it was just so perfect. It just that is like the summation of his character. He's just like a little kid, a little mama's boy, and he doesn't really know what to do with it. But it's like, just enjoy it, you know.
Oh, before I forget, with the music, we realized we forgot to mention this in the first movie, but I actually really liked the little bit of originally composed music they throw in there. I think it's really nice, little fairy tale-esque.
I noticed a lot less in this film as opposed to the first one, which is too bad because I think the Harry Gregson Williams does a really good job with both films. I think the original music for these movies is actually pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, it kind of gets in favor of the licensed music. Yeah.
But you still have the same little ditty they played in the beginning.
Yep.
Which is nice. Also, I liked when the Puss in Boots came. Also, the king also just hires an assassin to murder Shrek. That's also a fun little plot point. But we'll get past that at the end. And we apologize. Sorry, I tried to kill you. But it's all good now.
Yeah, I mean, he introduced us to Puss in Boots, who's adorable. And
Puss in Boots is great. I honestly, it's such a memorable scene. The whole like cat eyes.
Yeah.
Where he gives the cat eyes treatment.
So one thing I actually commend the movie for is it showing restraint on the jealous best friend thing.
Right.
Because like lesser movies would have done like he's upset and now he's not his friend anymore and he's just gonna go away now. But it's like that didn't happen.
They were going with it too, right?
Yeah. But no, Donkey was just generally jealous, and it didn't really lead anywhere other than just some dialogue, pretty much.
Yeah, but I liked it with the Puss in Boots part, where Donkey kicks Shrunk in the nads, and he's like,
"Yeah,
did I miss?"
Yep.
No, you got them.
You got them. Yeah.
And then like Donkey was yelling at one point. He was like, "We're gonna give him the Bob Barker treatment." Because Spain, he was let's talk about Spain neutering your pets. I was like, oh, that was a nice pop culture reference from Donkey. Give him the Bob Barker treatment.
Give him the Bob Barker treatment.
Also, Joan Rivers.
Was okay. All right. No, that was horrifying. I was like, Joan Rivers looks terrifying in real life. Like, if you look at her, you're like, wow, that is some uncanny valley, and that's her face, her real face. But in this, it was somehow worse, which I was like, that's scary. It was like
it's more natural in this movie. That's what's
which I think maybe that was why it was scarier. It's because it didn't look as fake. Yeah, I don't know. There was something real off about that, but
and then it so I mean, it ultimately culminates with the decision to stay as ogres. So
right.
I mean, we're back to a similar point where we end in the first movie, where it's like.
But we know how much each other's well-being means to the other person, even more so than we did before.
Right. So now we can chuck out like the stupid like. They shouldn't be having stupid conflicts in the third movie. No, the third movie they're going to be a wholly changed couple. They're going to have everything figured out.
So yeah, that's how. Who knows? Who knows what they'll do? I will say it's like a human Shrek. This is one thing that it's like human Shrek looked really weird, and I think Ogre Fiona also looks really weird.
Okay. They
just, to me, it's like they just should stay in their original forms.
But
you think both of them are pretty hot?
Like Fiona thick.
I'm kind of. It's weird. I'm kind of okay with human Shrek, but
Shrek,
it is weird.
He's got something cool going on. Like he's not the Prince Charming look. He's like the halfway. He's just got the chest hair. The chest hair that works wonders.
I think the chest hair and the very square jaw. It's like,
yeah. I love the women who are just. He wakes up with these women just all around.
Yeah, where do they come from? By the way, they're just there and they're like ogling him,
and they're like giving him a massage, and the one's like, "I don't have anything to rub," and like they're so thirsty. I'm like,
yeah,
Jesus.
They're super thirsty, and then like their role ends when it's like, all right, well, we'll get you out of those.
You out of those clothes,
and they're like,
yeah.
It's like, come on, jeez.
I do really like the I need a hero sequence. I think it's great. I think that's
there's just too much crammed into one sequence for me to really get on board for it personally.
I mean, it was like hype. It was like a bunch of movie cliches mixed into this montage, but I was hyped about it still because they did the whole Puss in Boots jumped off and he's like, "No, go on, your lady needs you." Like to go on without me. They did the go on without me thing, and then the whole like up until the buzzer, like the hero needs to get there right at the moment right before midnight. Right before midnight.
Stroke of midnight. I'm trying to think of some other.
That huge gingerbread man.
Yeah. Okay. So several things we already talked about. Like, how did they get there? It was 1,000 miles away or so. And Magic. How did they get there?
Magic.
Yeah, the movie, it might be a comedy, so it's like, oh, don't worry about it. You're getting too wrapped up in the details. But it's like, no, it has to follow. It does need to follow its own internal logic. And if it doesn't, you need to make a reference to it, or do something. This is one thing that
made a gag. They could have made a gag out of it for sure.
They could have made a gag out of it. Like they could have done something with Dragon, who just shows up in the weird mid-credit sequence that I hate. They could honestly that could have been the explanation. They could have done that, and then there could have been something where it's like Dragon turned into a big bird or something. I don't know, but they didn't do anything with her.
Yeah, do we know how long it took them to get there? Like they made it seem really long with that. Are you there yet? But
it was 1,000 miles.
1,000 miles.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you get a dragon,
if you
just take a dragon trip, I don't know how long a dragon trip takes.
I don't know. They could have. Well, this is what I mean. They could have. There could have been something. They could have explained it somehow.
I also am like.
They could have. Well, they could have made a joke about like, oh, we just went around the world the other way. It's like way faster. It's way faster to go that way. Like they could have done something like that. Like it could have been any sort of explanation.
Like any magic. Like there's some magical
Yeah,
thing they
there
did.
could have been some magic thing or whatever. It's fairy tale world,
But
but
that
they
happened
didn't.
off screen, so it makes
Yeah, it happened
sense.
off screen, and we didn't make a joke about it. Like, come on, do
I
something. Be
buy
a
it.
little bit more creative about that. And then giant gingerbread man. They apparently the Muffin Man just has the ability to make a giant gingerbread man in the span of like 20 minutes or
I don't
something.
know why in the world Shrek came up with this idea.
Yeah,
He just sees the gingerbread man
he
and
sees
he's
the
like,
gingerbread
"Oh,
man and
I've
he's
got an
like,
idea.
yeah, it's like,
Do you still know the Muffin Man? Like
yeah.
this is what needs to be done to get us to where we're going. We need a huge gingerbread man."
Which also would imply that the gingerbread man is originally from far, far away. Why he ended up all the way over in Farquaad land, where I don't remember what it was actually called, but
No, well, he didn't end up there. But Farquaad was torturing gingerbread or
yeah, well,
Gingy.
Gingy had to he showed up all the way from there though somehow.
I don't know. I mean, they could
Yeah,
have taken him from there. I don't know.
maybe the Muffin Man made gingerbread man
But then they
and
did
just
the
left him
whole
there.
"It's alive" and the lightning.
Yeah, they Frankensteined him,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
So far, far away is interesting. Because obviously, like Hollywood is what they're going for.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, they go down the like the big thing where it's all the mansions of all the
yeah.
princesses. You got Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella. They're here.
So
Rapunzel. You see her hairs
so
all
then we're
throughout
led
the.
to believe we're going to this huge castle. We're led to believe that Fiona is like the most important princess then,
Apparently,
because
yeah.
they got this huge thing, and then all the other princesses are on the road leading up to it. So you got Cinderella, she's a lesser princess to Fiona. So
To
Fiona is
Fiona,
the
apparently,
best
yeah.
princess now, because they
Even
get
though
this
she had to go get
huge
locked
ass
in a
castle.
tower for like 10 years.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up, right?
Yeah.
They say weird parenting. I don't know. Were you on Team Fiona or Team Shrek for that argument? Like, should like Shrek really wanted nothing to do with it? Fiona was on board. I
Oh,
guess
okay. On which part of the argument were we talking about here?
I don't know. I guess the point when they have the whole conflict at the dinner table, and around that point where it's like Fiona wants him to stay and give it a chance, but Shrek just wants nothing to do with it. He's like they locked you in a tower. They don't care. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on Shrek's side there. I mean, to me, that's like he did it for her. He gave it a shot, and then they turned out to be pretty terrible. And then Harold is back
Harold's a racist.
scheming. He's racist and he's scheming back behind his back. So I mean, he was kind of right about him, even though even though Fiona basically convinces her father through their shared love, and I guess seeing just what the like Shrek himself was going to, that they would he
Mm-hmm.
change his mind.
Though the queen was pretty reasonable. I might have been Team Queen. Like she seemed to be
She
reasonable,
seemed like she was pretty,
even
yeah.
though she did ultimately comply with like locking her daughter in a tower for however long.
Yeah.
So she
Which
did
again
go with that.
seems kind of messed up, but
But yeah, they did. It was very much like a racial. Felt like a racial thing. The whole ogre argument, right? Because he was like, well, the king was like, well, for his type it is, and Shrek's like, my type. What are you trying to say? And then they had the whole scene at the table where just food just get chucked everywhere.
yeah. So
Yeah.
when my housemates was saying, "What is this dinner?" Did you see how many different things they had? They had like they had a full roast pig. They had lobster. They had like chicken, turkey. What was the thing towards the end? Oh, that was the pig that got thrown up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
But it was wild how much.
It was
Oh,
wild.
there was like a banana. There was like it's like what
It was
is
wild.
this meal?
But I thought it was great, like when they showed like a shot of the queen just like calmly sipping there, and there's just like
Yeah,
pieces of food just
yeah.
flying on
This
there. Just chaos.
it's so nice to have the family together.
See, I just love this movie,
Yeah,
honestly.
there's more going on here. I think that makes it a more interesting film, and I think I enjoyed it more than the first one. But those little tiny things really bother me. They really bother me. I probably shouldn't let them, but they do, and I just to me they take away from they take too much away from the movie because like I I want to like this movie more than I do this one. With Shrek 1, it wasn't really that case. I feel like after watching Shrek 2, I want to like it more
Mm-hmm.
because it has I think it's just again better structure, better characters, better plot. I think the movie flows a lot better. Um, but yeah, it's just some of those really weird, odd decisions in terms of the writing. Like they didn't even have to have Pinocchio, Gingerbread Man, the Three Blind Mice. None of them even had to show up. They just did it because it was like, wow, we gotta throw some gags in here at the end. It was like, did we really though? We've been doing a pretty good job throughout this movie so far without them.
In the Shrek 2 video game, there's a whole sequence where you can play as the
Shrek 2 video game.
There's a whole sequence where you can play as those characters as they're going like on their escapade to rescue Shrek, and there's like a whole level that plays out that we don't see in the movie, you know, and it's like you actually.
So you're thinking was there? Thing. Do you think there was a cut scene in the film in which they were? It is actually interesting. Sometimes in those like video games and stuff, they actually use early like drafts or early builds of the film because a lot of times they're making them in conjunction with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
but it's like interesting because you get to play as the wolf. Like a wolf is one of the characters you play as in the sequence. You play as the wolf. I forget what the other options were at that point. I think randomly, like Little Red Riding Hood is an option as a character at one point.
Even though she's in the movie for a grand total of about 5 seconds.
Yeah. I distinctly remember, being able to throw apples. But I think for some reason Shrek 2 just mixes some elements of like the original Shrek in there too. Because they have a whole video or like a sequence where you do the singing with the birds thing that like Fiona did in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a one of those hit A, Y, X, B. It'll like tell you an order sequence, and she does the singing. So that's like almost the original Shrek thing. But
is there a sing along where you sing "Livin' La Vida Loca" at the end?
No, but I love that. I actually loved it.
I mean, I like that song, but it's just like
Puss in Boots.
It's just
pulls
weird.
Down the bucket.
It's just it was almost weirder than Believer at the end.
I was totally on board with everything they were giving me here.
To me, it made more sense though, because it's like it's a big dance party, so of course they're going to be doing something. You know, it's like a big ball. So.
Yeah, it's just like the thing. Every Shrek movie now they have to end in a musical number. Ultimately, the king turns back into the frog, so you find out that he was a frog all along. So his racism that he was spewing the whole time was like a projection of his own insecurities.
So that means that what was the queen's name?
I don't remember.
Harold but yeah, so that means that they were the princess and the frog. So she kissed the frog prince. I guess.
But then he turned back into the frog though. So
somehow he had made a deal with the fairy godmother earlier because she did say I was the key to that whole thing, that whole relationship with your wife. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And then Gingy was like, he croaked.
I don't know.
But
the fairy godmother is to me having a villain that's actually like, rather than just like I'm going to marry her and then there's like no confrontation at the end. It's just like, oh, okay. Having a villain that felt like really devious and scheming the whole time, rather than having such a simple plan. I enjoyed that a lot more. She's just a fun character.
Yeah.
And having Prince Charming there too, being a complete foppish ass is just so good.
Yeah. So ultimately, we have the end credits scene where Dragon. We didn't see Dragon the whole movie. Even a mention of Dragon. The donkey wants to move back in because she's been. What did he describe her as? She's
been acting all weird or
moody?
Something. I don't know. Moody.
She's been moody lately. So let me move back in with you guys.
Well, and it's we find out, it's because she was pregnant.
She
somehow
birthed 5 donkey dragon hybrids, and he's like, look at our mutant babies.
Yeah, the implication of which is horrifying,
I
and
know.
I don't like I
There's
don't
like
like
some
it.
math that doesn't work there. It's really hard to
This
the
that's like,
calculations.
oh my god, that reminds me of the sequence in SpongeBob where sponge plus star equals scallop question mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So that's a tease for the future, the Shrek the
yeah,
Third.
yeah. Are we gonna have? Are they? How how quickly do donkey dragon dragonky children? How fast do they grow? So we gonna see dragonky flying around? That'd be
Yeah.
terrifying.
It's already terrifying, but I
It
like how
is. It is horrifying.
it was an interesting thing to bring the dragon right back in at the end, just to get the fans hyped for the third one.
Just to get everyone hyped up. Yeah, baby, we're doing Shrek 3 and it's gonna have dragon baby donkey hybrids.
But I just
Bro.
okay, so I felt like this movie hit so many different things a lot better than the first one. And so much so that I think that a lot of the quotes were more memorable. I wrote down a bunch of different quotes. I mentioned some of them, like I like how Puss in Boots was like, "I have misjudged you," and Shrek is like, "Oh, join the club. We have jackets."
Yeah.
It's just these little lines he threw in. I was like, I think they're getting better with their writing. Honestly, it wasn't like
the
the characters weren't grating on me as much as they were
wait,
in the first.
wait, yeah, I would say Donkey was, except for the very beginning where he was like super fucking annoying. Like really. Yeah, he it wasn't bad. I would say for the most part. I didn't find him as grating. He again, it was like the jealous best friend thing, but like it was, as we already described, it was done sort of well, and he wasn't really annoying or grating during it. I didn't find so. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like somewhere along those last couple, there's a couple of years between that first one and this one, they found some secret sauce.
yeah.
But the question is, can they maintain that into the future ones? I don't know. I feel like this has got to be the peak of Shrek right here.
Because of how many, because of how the pop culture references, because of that, the just abundance more. There's probably twice as many in this film, maybe more than there were in the first one. Makes me really worried that they're just going to double down on that. And considering the reputation that the film series kind of has, I feel like that's what's going to happen, and I'm not really looking forward to that, to be honest. Because I will agree with you. I think the original, the beyond the pop culture references, this movie is actually pretty well written.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would say that, but it kind of is. It's pretty okay. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to love. There's a lot to love here, and just like the little touches here, like there was it was like in the little musical number where they're like, they'll write your name on the bathroom wall for happily ever after. For happily ever afters, give Fiona a call, and they have these weird little jokes
What?
like that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they were doing the whole thing with Fairy Godmother when Fairy Godmother was singing,
Yeah.
and she's like, "They'll write your name on the bathroom wall for happily ever afters. Give Fiona a call."
Is that like the boy? That was like one of
It's
those.
like joking like how people write in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
yeah, I
Like,
know, I know, no, I know. But that's reminding me of the Snow White. She lives with seven men. She may live with
yeah, I
seven
know.
men, but that doesn't make her easy.
Yeah,
It was like one of those kind
I
of
think the
jokes.
mirror might have even been involved in that part too. There was a magic mirror came in at one point,
Yeah.
and then they had like different things, different little shops and stuff in the far away, or like the fairy godmothers is like for all your happily ever afters. So it was almost looked like a nightclub kind of
Mm.
sign, and they had like Versace was one, like instead of
Versace.
Versace.
Nice.
There was little
Yeah, I
things
get.
like that.
Yeah, I was interesting. I didn't. I guess I wasn't paying attention at that point. See, normally I try to look into those little background details because those. A lot of times those little details are some of the most fun because you can tell that the people who are making the film are having a good time
Huh.
when they put stuff in like that. But
I did enjoy the sequence leading up to when they revealed Shrek and Fiona and the whole little ceremony that the king and queen had in front of the castle. Where they
oh
led them up there.
yes, you mean? So you're talking about the sequence where they're walking and
Yeah.
the dialogue. that is one of my favorite comedy things when dialogue interweaves like that. That is one of my favorite things, and it was done so well in that sequence. It was very funny.
Yeah.
I was like
and
that.
then the reveal, I just like everybody got
Yeah.
silent, and then you just
And
hear
then
like
it's
a baby
yeah,
crying.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I was like, there's just a lone baby crying.
It was great.
You still think this is a good idea?
You had the one.
All right, I'm gonna go park.
Yeah. You had the one trumpeter like. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Okay. Well, I love this movie. What would you give it out of 10, though, Mister Time Jump? Doesn't make sense.
I didn't know.
World.
I did not like it. It detracted way too much from the
world.
movie.
I wave it with a wand. I will wave it away with a wand, literally.
Okay, fairy godmother. I'm torn because talking about it last night after I said it, I was like, this movie's still a 7.5, but for a very different reason. Because I wanted to make it higher, but I felt like the ending sequence didn't help much. I think I'm gonna stick with that. I would have given it probably an 8, maybe even 8.5 if it wasn't for the overabundance, the shoving into your face of pop culture references towards the end. And I guess towards the beginning too had a lot as well. But it was, I like this movie for a very different reason. I would say it's probably better than the first film in a lot of respects. But for me, that kind of bogs it down a little more. So
you're crazy.
That's just me.
Sir, this is a 9 out of 10. You son of a bitch.
No, you're insane. You're absolutely crazy.
9 out of 10. Put it on there.
You're wild. That's wild.
It has to be done for the culture.
Okay.
I mean, this is Shrek in its peak form. Like, you're not gonna get. I don't think we're gonna get any better than this.
I mean, it was pretty. I don't know if we will either. It was pretty good.
But I loved really everything they gave me in this movie. I just bought everything they were selling. I loved all the pop culture references.
You bought the Shrek 2 stock. You were like, "Yo, I invest in Shrek 2."
So what does that give us? That gives us 8.25. I
think it's 8.25.
8.25 out of 10. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
That's their Tarqaron score.
Yeah, I can live with that. It's a film. I'm okay with that. I can live with that. I thought it was pretty okay. You know.
So. Now I'm like, Shrek the Third. Like, when I was thinking back to Shrek, I couldn't distinctly remember all these scenes, but then as I'm watching Shrek and Shrek 2, I could remember, like, all these scenes are super iconic, memorable to me growing up. Shrek the Third, we know, is the one I unintentionally had to watch so many times.
Like 100 times or more.
But I only remember vague plot points of that movie, like, so it would be interesting to see if there's any, like, iconic... I feel like the first two have the iconic scenes that I think of. Yeah. So I don't know Shrek the Third... how that'll hold up, but that's what we got next week.
Well, you don't see a whole lot of memes from Shrek the Third and Shrek Forever After, so
yeah. But maybe there's a diamond in the rough in there.
But maybe, maybe there's. I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, the first Shrek is just so memed because that's like our generation's like aspect of their childhood, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. People meme Toy Story as well, so it's like, you know.
Yeah, but I think they really cleaned up their act after the first movie. They
cleaned up their act. Well, yeah, I said I think they polished up the character models and the environments. There's just everything. Most everything looked nicer. Just the animation is still a little weird. But
I will be shocked if I come back from Shrek the Third and say the same thing. Yeah, like, I feel like it is going to tip the scale in the wrong direction, and now we're like going on a downward trajectory after this. That's my prediction, but.
Now you're gonna give Shrek the Third a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, it keeps getting better.
How does it keep getting better?
Shrek Forever After is great too. Puss in Boots, this is the best one I've seen. Wow. By the way, we didn't mention before in the beginning. I was like, I think Shrek the 2 might be better than the Shrek, but other than that, it would probably be all lower. But like maybe Shrek the Musical, because that's a different.
Shrek the Musical, I've seen it before, and I do like it, but it has been a few years, so I don't know. Maybe it was just I was in a different place in my life at that period of time, so I don't know. Maybe we'll still have to see.
Yeah, because I mean, all of the other ones I saw when I was a child, and not since then. Shrek the Musical I haven't seen, period. So yeah, that'll be a whole new beast. All right, so I mean, check back next week for Shrek the Third. The fun never stops. All right.
Yeah.
What video would you recommend our viewers go watch now?
You know, I was looking back through our illustrious list of videos of things that we've talked about and things that we've done on the channel.
Excellent films.
And yeah, a lot of great movies, a lot of cool things. I think that people should go and watch. I don't know.
Really
no, there was
thought long and
something.
hard about it.
There was something. I'm just trying to remember because there was something that I came across the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I should recommend that." That's like nobody's watched that, and I felt like we had a really good discussion there.
True. Probably true.
It's probably
Super
very
true.
true.
Is it a better movie than Shrek 2? Can you tell me that? Whatever
Probably
you're thinking.
not.
Okay, yeah, probably not. Most movies aren't.
Go check out our review of Luigi's Mansion 3.
That's what you were thinking of.
That wasn't actually,
Wow.
but that's not what I was thinking of. It was something that was much more recent than that. But you should go check that out.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I should go check that game out again. I never finished it.
Oh, you never beat it? Oh yeah. No, yeah, give it a shot. I beat it. It was good. It's a good game.
Is it better than Shrek 2, the movie?
I mean, you're comparing apples to bananas. So
To onions.
Anyway.
I'll go park. All right. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to our podcast feed. Like the video. Leave a comment. Hit the notification bell. Follow us on Twitter. And like us on Facebook. At Tarqaron. TWO. All right.
Yeah.
Take it easy.